This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by cruiserweight Brandon Glanton. Brandon, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. We're looking forward to seeing you over here in the UK. Huge show, topped by Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn. You're in a very important fight at cruiserweight against former world champion Chris Billam-Smith. Something you've talked about before. I read an interview you did earlier where you said you might leave with Chris Billam-Smith's title and his wife. He
Yeah.
hasn't got the title anymore, so I'm hoping his marriage isn't in any danger from you either. But what do you make of him as a fighter?
Honestly, back then it was a joke. I was just trying to get him riled up. Obviously, I got a lot of respect for him, his family, his children. So, um, as far as a fight, I think he's an excellent fighter. Um, he's always proven to be tough. He's always proven to come in great condition. Um, and he's a professional athlete. He's a blue collar guy like myself. So as far as our fight, I just know him a lot better. I know him a lot more durable. Um, I'm a bigger puncher. I believe I make better decisions inside the ring. Just so many, so many levels to it. Obviously, I'm not going to give it all away here, but I think it's going to be. I read an article that said it would steal the show. I definitely believe that 100%. I think Chris and I are going to blow my stablemate out. You bank and Ben, I believe will do it. Just because of the way the styles clash, you know. Not to say that either of us are where Chris Eubank is, but just the way the styles clash, the way we both are come forward action fighters, you know.
And you mentioned Chris Eubank there, stablemate of yours. Just tell us a little bit about your relationship with him.
Yeah, I met Chris years ago out at Roy Jones' gym. And I didn't really understand. I used to think Chris was rude, but obviously I was green in boxing. I didn't know much about the who's who. I was just coming to get some sparring, and I'll never forget. We did a few rounds, but in the last round, Chris hit me with about a 60 punch combination and told me, "All right, that's it for me." And he said, "It's up to you to catch me." And I'm like, "Wow, all right." Levels to this. So yeah, that's how it started with Chris. But obviously, I'm involved with Nova Sports as my team. Um, Everything just meshed together really well. So as far as the fight itself, His Excellency made this happen with Ben Shalom. So I'm eternally grateful for all the opportunities I got.
How excited are you about that aspect of it? It's a Ring Magazine event here at a stadium in the UK. We would expect to sell out, I would imagine, as well. How excited are you about the occasion?
I gotta be honest. I'm fairly excited. I try not to use that word because excitement doesn't dictate professionalism, right? Obviously, it's a huge card. It's Ring Magazine. It's all the who's who. It's obviously exciting, right? But if you're if you've done your research and you've got the best brain surgeon in the world, he's been 99.9% successful in all of his surgeries. And every time he's done it, his interviews, he's like, "Hey, I'm excited to go in here and do my job. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited." But now it's you or your family or your loved one, and they're up for brain surgery. But on this particular day, he's not excited, right? You're not going to care how excited he is to do his job. You want his numbers and his record to speak for him, regardless of how he's feeling. You want him to be a blue collar professional and do the job that needs to be done. So obviously, I'm happy to be here. Um, Excited. I'll save that for after my hand is raised. But as of right now, I'm gonna be professional and do my job. That's why we started camp today.
And is it right you came to watch Chris Billam-Smith previously when he won the title against Lawrence Okoli?
Yeah, yeah. So I helped Lawrence with that camp, and unfortunately, it didn't go his way. I believe wholeheartedly that that was the best version of Chris. So kudos to him. Um, obviously, I know what took place there in camp. I'm next to Lawrence. I've been in the ring with him. I know he was a bit weight drained from that fight, but you know, excuses are like assholes, and everybody's got one. So, regardless, Chris Billam got the job done. He looked fantastic. He did. He looked powerful. He looked explosive. He looked like he was in his element with all of his fans and family in his arena in his hometown. So, man, it was a beautiful show. It was a beautiful show.
And you nearly had the opportunity to challenge Lawrence yourself because you fought David Light. He ended up getting a split decision against you and went on to challenge Coley. Just tell us a little bit about that because it was back-to-back defeats, but both very controversial. Tell us your reflections on those.
You know, to this day, I will never admit defeat to David. Like, um, what a tough, tough, tough guy. I know watching the fight back, his coach asked him, was he okay? And he said no. I hit him with some very dangerous shots. As you know, he's taken an unfortunate turn in boxing, but yeah, that fight more or less broke me. Um, I questioned myself. I questioned boxing. I questioned life itself, because just playing the fight over and over, and even with the big knockdown at the end, there was no way. And one of the judges had me losing 8 rounds going into the ninth. Going into the 10th round, I was down 8. So I'm not gonna, I won't offend anybody and say, oh well, this happened or that happened. No excuses. I didn't win the fight. I didn't do enough to sway the judges, or I didn't do the job enough to make it where I couldn't be cheated. So great fight, man. Great fight. Fun fight. Definitely learned some things about myself. Um, Bigger picture for me, I don't know your beliefs, but you know, I felt like during that time of my life, I needed a humbling, and I didn't lose to David Light. I didn't lose to David Light. Especially with the knockdown, I didn't lose David Light, but because of my life at that time and that camp, and even how I treated David Light, I got a humbling from God, and that's my take on it. And I'm sure people will say what they want to say, but God had to reach down and intervene in that, because had I won that fight on paper, I wouldn't have changed what type of person I am. I would have. I was a very, very unkind person at that time. I was very aggressive. I was very. I was just mean, um, especially to how the fight got developed. I had a disdain for David Light, and I grew to love him. Obviously, I haven't seen him since the fight. I've heard from him, and I've seen him. I've heard stories of him, but great human being, man. Yeah, you got, people, fans forget that we're fighters. We don't really hate each other. We don't know each other. You're just a person that's in my way. Now, there are some fighters who have personal relationship with these guys, and they're there's real bad intentions there. And I've only got one fighter on my record that I still is not my favorite person to this day, but I like him a lot better. So, it's just business, and for the fans, obviously, it's entertainment, it's life, and it goes on. I wish him well. Um, but as far as losing that fight, I didn't lose that fight. I will never admit a loss for that fight. I pray one of these days it goes back and gets reviewed. But obviously, that fight was the fight that allowed either of us to get to Lawrence. So he got it, and in turn, I helped him in camp.
And the other defeat on your record, you were on kind of away turf, I suppose. And
Mhm.
again, a weird one on the scorecards. What's the story there?
Well, for me, if I'm being honest, my coach will probably be upset when he sees that, but I had it 5-5. I
Okay.
had it. I had it a draw every way I watched it. My team had it 6-4 my way. Um, the world apparently, a lot of the Russian fan base had it 6-4 my way. We got it um, judged, paid for that as far as video, and had it 6-4 my way. Um, I think as far as boxing, it's who you like. As far as Brandon, I spent a lot of time with Sugar Hill before that fight. And he helped me. The problem is that system that I was learning, I wasn't adept at it. And for the first 4 rounds, I wasn't myself. I wanted to be something that I'm not. Not that it doesn't work, because Sugar, as you know, he's a great coach, a great trainer. I wasn't applying what I had learned the best way, and I paid for it. In the fifth round, my coach said, screw all that, go turn it on, go knock him out. And obviously, that's when I started drowning him. I had my opportunity to get him out of there in the eighth, and I missed the opportunity. And I didn't get the decision. So I do feel like there were more things at play there. But again, no excuses. I didn't do enough to sway the judges. And to be honest with you, I wasn't ready mentally to fight. I was still recovering from the David loss. I was literally in the locker room still talking about the David Light fight. I had spent some time actually recovering from the David loss fight mentally. Um, I didn't, no physical damage, but I couldn't fathom losing, because I've always been taught, if you do what you're supposed to do, you'll get what you're supposed to get. You work hard every day, you pour it out. You just like Andre Ward. If you cheat the meal plan, if you cheat the training, if you cheat the lifestyle, whatever you're doing, it's going to be exposed in that boxing ring. I knew I didn't do that. So losing, I couldn't process it. And it still stings to this day. Each and every time people ask me about it. I just watched the fight 2 days ago, and I cannot process losing other than a humbling from God. So in the locker room before I walked out to fight Sozlan, I was still telling my trainer we shouldn't even be here.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go knock this guy out, but I shouldn't be here. And but you don't lose, you learn. So obviously, out of 22 men, I've either dropped or knocked out 21. The one I didn't was banned from boxing on his very next fight. So kind of picking up what I'm putting down here. You know.
I mean, let me ask you about the Egorov fight, because that's another one where it was close on the cards, could easily have gone either way, but you found the body shot, great body shot, to end the fight. How much credit for that victory do you give to the defeats you suffered before?
Oh, all of it. Even every fight from here on out, um, the credit is going to my defeats. Obviously, I don't have the big pretty record anymore. I don't have, I have a decent record, but I don't have the undefeated record. But it taught me a lesson. When I don't knock people out, I don't get decisions. And I knew in Moscow, I knew I was drowning that guy. As far as I don't know if you got a chance to tune into it, but the scorecards do not dictate what happened in that fight. Obviously, I still feel the headbutts. If you go back and watch it, I had to get headbutted 40 times in the fight. Not a single point was drawn. Nothing. Man, I was beating that guy like a heavy bag. And he fought back and he hit me with some good shots. He wasn't a big puncher, so I didn't have anything to worry about. We get to the sixth round, and my coach is like, "Hey, how you feeling?" It's like, "Feeling good. I'm gonna knock this guy out." He said, "Oh, all right. Well, turn it up. Let's go." I was like, "All right. I was waiting on you." He kind of told me to switch gears, and it just drowned him and knocked him out. So, but as far as his punch resilience, I respect him. I respect him because I hit him with so many body shots, just drained the life out of him. So when I finally found that one, he was unable to get up.
I want to ask you about a couple of people you've sparred as well. I know you mentioned Lawrence already. You've been in with the WBC champion, Noel Mikhalian, I believe. What was that experience like? I've read some comments previously, but I want to get it straight from you.
I think that was the easiest sparring session I ever had in my life. I kicked his ass, cut him, and screwed up his fight. Obviously, cutting him and screwing up the fight was not my goal,
Of course.
right? Because he was helping me get ready for Egarov, you know? So um I told him going in, you're not gonna beat Ryan, but I'll come through and do my best. And obviously he was happy with it because I'm a better fighter than Ryan. So it all worked out. I don't care who won the fight or not, but I couldn't miss. Um, for him to be on that elite level, it was so easy. Now, granted, my trainer spends a lot of time with me. I see him every day. Um, I'm not one of those fighters that travels away when I'm not in camp. I see my trainer every day, even if I'm not training. I'll come through, come see him. My facility here has got a living facility in there, so I literally stay in there. That's why it's fights like 80 to 8 days away, and I'm right in here. Um, but that was the easiest world champion I've ever. I destroyed him. Um, I destroyed him. Obviously, him getting cut wasn't planned, but I mean, Jesus Christ, I had on 18-ounce gloves. He's got a full cage on, and the winning, the
Yeah.
full bar.
Full
I
face.
could I could not miss. I couldn't miss. I abused that man. I made him look like an amateur. Um, Outside of the cut, he obviously he needed it. And you see the fight never transpired. So again, I don't think Ryan is technically sound, but I know Ryan can punch.
Yeah.
I don't think Noel can deal with punchers, especially those with great conditioning, and that was the difference. Um, my conditioning, he couldn't get away from me.
And you talked about elite level there. You've also been in with the undisputed light heavyweight champion, I believe, in Artur Beterbiev.
Yeah,
What was that experience like?
he hit me with a right hand in 2017, and I still feel it. I still feel it. I'll never forget. He hit me, and I'm one of those guys. I don't like seeing my own blood. He hit me, and my nose just started spraying, and I'm literally fighting. I'm watching my nose just gush out, and it gets brutal over there. They pay us well, so when you go to that camp, you're going to fight. There, obviously you're a boxer, and it's like it didn't. The punch hurt, the blood it didn't hurt, but it's like no, we're gonna get this. So, yeah, very very strong puncher, man. I was proud because at that time, Mark Ramsey told me that I was only the second fighter to complete a whole training camp with him. We were there for like a month and a half. It was crazy. And he's a really, really, really solid fighter, man. He's excellent from everything from training, meal prepping, the mindset, being on. I love it because he's on time. Um, and that's a big pet peeve for me. He was on time every day to the gym. He I had people in the past tell me I work too hard, but seeing that at that time, it confirmed it. Like, no, you need to work like this. That guy works like an animal. Obviously, he's still undefeated. So yeah, that was life changing.
Great stuff. Now, just before I let you go, tell all the people out there what they can expect. They're tuning in, or if they attend the event in April, Eubank against Ben, you're on there against Chris Billam-Smith. What can they expect from you and your fight?
You can definitely expect Chris and I to steal the show. It's gonna be fireworks. We're both at that turning point in our career where you got to either call it shit or get off the pot. So you see fireworks. Somebody's gonna get hurt, and it won't be me. But you'll see worlds colliding that night. Be a great fight. Great fight for the promotion. Great fight for the fans. Great fight for boxing. It's kind of the U.S. versus the U.K. thing. I don't really get much into it, but if it sells, um, it'll be a great fight. It'll be a fun fight. Whatever happens, it'll be fun because this will be the first time in my career that I fought someone who's coming in there to knock my head off. Like, I fought guys who want to come outbox me, want to navigate around me, but Chris wants to fight. So this will be fun. This will be a career defining for the both of us, and I'm looking forward to everybody tuning in. My
Brilliant. Really,
team, like I said, my His Excellency, Ben Shalom, Nova Sports, Team Eubank. I appreciate everybody who made this happen. So just check me out at Team Bulletproof on all social networks. Don't blink.
brilliant. Really appreciate your time, Brandon. Best of luck with the rest of your training camp, and we'll see you when you're in the UK.
Absolutely. See you soon.
Take care. Bye bye.